13, 30, 14, 40, 15, 50. These numbers can be so easily confused if they are not pronounced correctly. But don't worry, this video is going to give you free pronunciation tips so these numbers are never confused again. Firstly, we're going to look at vowel length, second, at word stress, and thirdly, the final N. Starting off with vowel length, you might be aware that in British English we have short and long vowel sounds, like in ship and sheep, chip and cheap. This long E sound we have in 13, 14, 15. It's an intense, sustained, long E sound. This is where it can get a little bit confusing because some students might assume if 13 has a long E, then 30 must have a short one. So 30, 40, 50, which doesn't quite sound right. So they might listen to an English speaker and notice, it's a little bit longer. So then it becomes 30, 40, 50. Which can very easily be confused with 13, 14, 15. So if it's not the short E or the long E, what is it then? It's what's known as the happy E. When we have a Y at the end of a word, we usually get this softer E sound. 30, 40, 50, happy, city. The difference with this sound is that it starts off intense, but then gradually fades away. E, E. You also might notice it's slightly deeper and not as light as the short E and the long E. So, to summarise, 13, 14, 15 all have the long E, like in sheep, which is fuller, sustained and longer. And for 30, 40, 50, these end in the happy E, which starts off intense and then drifts away. E, E, 30, 40, 50. The second thing to be aware of is stress, which basically means that we say one part of a word stronger than the other part. We do this by making it louder, clearer, or higher in pitch. And this is where that classic up and down intonation comes from in British English. We don't only do this with individual words, but we can also do it in sentences, where we'll stress more important words more than others. If you're interested in understanding more about British intonation in sentences, check out the next video. Now, getting back to 30 and 13. Here the stress is different. 30, 40, 50 all have stress on the first syllable. So the second one, as we noticed before, is not said as light or as bright as the first one. So we almost get that up and down. Bum, 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 bum. 30, 40, 50. Whereas the stress in 13, 14, 15 is at the end. It's on the teen. So we get bum, 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 bum. 13, 14, 15. Now, this can be really important because many native speakers of English will listen to this rhythm naturally. So, even if your vowel sound isn't quite correct, if you have the stress on the correct syllable, you're more likely to be understood. And the third and final tip is the final N. If you are forgetting your consonants, or the N in this case at the end, then you need to make a real effort to make sure that you do pronounce it. There's many different reasons as to why this can happen, and your native language can be one of them. So to make sure you're saying that final N clearly, Imagine that there is a little vowel at the end, like na or ne. You don't actually say the A, it's just there in your imagination. All this vowel is doing is making sure that your tongue comes down at the end. This is what's going to make the sound clearer. 13, 13, 13. If you keep it up in the N sound, it can almost get a bit washed away. That's why it's important to imagine that there is a vowel there, which will then make the N sound clearer. So before we move on to some guided practice, I just want to quickly summarise those 3 tips again. Firstly, the vowel sound. For 13, 14, 15, you have the long E sound, which is more intense, it's fuller, and you can feel it more strongly in your mouth. E. 30, 40, 50 all have the happy E sound, which starts intense but then drifts away and also has a slightly deeper register. Second, the stress. 30 has the stress at the start of the word, so we say it more strongly, and 13 has the stress on the teen. And the third tip, the final N, make sure that it is clear. And to make it sound stronger and clearer, you can imagine a little A at the end, which will make your tongue come down and complete that sound. So let's practice 13 to 19, and I want you to focus on putting the stress on the teen and also making sure that N is nice and strong. Repeat after me. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Now for 30 to 90, we're going to focus on that happy E sound at the end, which starts intense and then drifts away, and the stress is on the first syllable. So we have that rhythm, bum, 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 bum. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and I almost forgot 20. Once you're comfortable with those rhythms and those sounds, then you can start to contrast them to really make sure that they sound different. So let's give it a go. Repeat after me. 13, 30, 14, 40, 15, 50, 16, 60, 17, 70, 18, 80, 19, 90. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more British pronunciation tips. You can also book a one-on-one pronunciation session with me at britishpronunciationtips.com.